What if I told you that major economic booms and busts are not random? There is a predictable 60-year pattern that has accurately forecasted nearly every major crisis for the last century. That pattern says a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity has just begun. Today, we're revealing that pattern and what it says about the next 20 years. The oil baron John D. Rockefeller once said, "He didn't get rich by luck, but by planning for luck." What did he mean? He understood that wealth flows in predictable cycles. A brand new 20-year cycle has just started, and it presents three incredible opportunities to get rich. Stay with me to understand the map. They say that every person will have three great opportunities to strike it rich in their lifetime, and at the same time, there will be 3 times when they risk going completely bankrupt. I don't know if that feels true for you, but if in the past few years you have invested wildly, started businesses recklessly, and as a result lost money in everything you did, to the point where even as an employee you couldn't get promoted and were maybe even fired unexpectedly, then I advise you not to rush into a state of inaction and giving up. Because it's very possible that you are facing the first great opportunity in your life to turn the tables. The opportunity to achieve lasting financial freedom. Wealth Topmax warmly welcomes you. This channel is dedicated to sharing wealth-building mindsets for those seeking financial and time freedom. If you don't want to miss out on future valuable insights, consider subscribing for free and turning on the notification bell. There was a man named John D. Rockefeller, the famous oil king. In a letter to his descendants, he once said that he did not get rich through some heaven-sent luck, but by meticulously planning for luck. Many people may not understand this statement because they have never seen 2 powerful maps of wealth, a Western economic map called the Kondratiev wave, and a famous ancient framework from the East known as the I Ching. Both this modern chart and this ancient text have long told us the same thing. Fortune is something that can be anticipated and planned for. They suggest that life moves in cycles. When you are in a down cycle, it can feel like everything you do is wrong. When you know that the near future is part of that down cycle, the wisest move is often not to do anything at all. Rest, preserve your assets, and wait until the period of good fortune, the upcycle, begins, and then act decisively. Or you can find someone who is currently in a strong upcycle and cooperate with them. And when you understand that your own fortune and the fortune of the world is about to turn for the better, that is the time to attack. That is the time to roll up your sleeves, bow your head, and work relentlessly to build your wealth. Now, some people will immediately say, "Isn't this just superstition?" In fact, only the short-sighted would be quick to label it as such. If you look at it from a scientific and historical perspective, what we are really talking about is a form of an economic cycle, a natural law, a powerful trend. Let's look at the first map. This is the Kondratiev wave chart. It was developed by a Russian economist over 100 years ago, and it maps long-term economic cycles of about 50 to 60 years. What makes it so amazing is not just its historical accuracy, but also its simplicity. This chart tells you that the years around point C represent the recession or winter phase of the economy. At that time, everything is at its cheapest, and it is also the time with the most opportunities. This is the time to invest and start businesses. And for how long? Until you reach point B, when the economy enters a period of prosperity or summer, and everything becomes expensive. At that time, you should consider selling your assets, holding cash, and preparing to rest. When the cycle reaches point A, the autumn phase, panic begins to spread. At this time, most assets will depreciate severely, and most industries will face great difficulties. Let's pay attention to a few timelines to see how accurate this has been. For example, the year 1999 is shown between points A and B, a time of peak prosperity. This means this is the time to sell stocks and stop investing, because a crisis is about to happen. And what was the result? Afterward, the dot-com bubble burst, the 9/11 terrorist attacks occurred, and a global economic crisis followed. Next, let's look at the period around 2006 and 2008. The chart again indicates a peak. And after that peak, what happened? The catastrophic financial crisis caused by the collapse of Lehman Brothers in 2008 erupted. The whole world fell into a period of deep recession. Then, around 2012, the chart indicates the bottom, a time to buy. If you had bought stocks or real estate at that time and held them, you would have seen incredible growth over the next several years. Next is 2018, when the US-China trade war began, leading to a very bleak economic outlook. The Kondratiev chart at that time also warned against aggressive investing because after 2019, it predicted a major panic. And then what happened? Everyone knows. The global pandemic broke out, the US market had emergency trading halts, and we even experienced a food crisis and war. Up until 2023, many stocks, Bitcoin, and various currencies had dropped by more than half their value. The Kondratiev chart indicates that 2023 was the bottom of the recession, the winter phase. So is it accurate this time? We can see that the pandemic has basically ended. The global interest rate hike cycle is nearing its peak, and the world economy is starting to show signs of recovery. If you miss this crucial 3-year window from 2023 to 2026, you may have to wait until 2032 for the next major turning point. So the critical question is, where should we invest now? What industry should we be in to make the most money during this new cycle? This is where our second map comes in, the ancient framework from the East. For thousands of years, Eastern philosophy, particularly through texts like the I Ching, has used a system called the 3 cycles and 9 periods to understand long-term generational shifts. This system suggests that different eras are dominated by different energies or themes, and these themes dictate which industries will thrive. For example, according to this framework, the period before 2003 was dominated by the metal element. Symbolically, metal represents finance, sound, and machinery. And what industries thrived? The finance industry, the stock market, and the music industry. Our predecessors, who were in steel, metal, and building materials, all struck it rich. The biggest musical stars of that era were globally famous. Think Michael Jackson, the pop princess Britney Spears. Those who made a living through their voice or financial acumen found it easiest to get rich. But from 2004 to 23, the framework says the dominant energy shifted to Earth. Symbolically, Earth represents property, land, and stability. And what happened in the world? Japan and the US began to print massive amounts of currency, and as a result, global real estate prices started to explode. For the past 20 years, this world has been a paradise for people with money invested in property. But now a new shift has just begun. From 2024 to 2043, the dominant energy for the next 20 years is said to be fire. So if we combine our 2 maps, the Western Kondratiev cycle tells us that we are at the beginning of a new recovery phase. The Eastern framework gives us a clue as to the nature of that recovery. It will be a fire recovery. But what does fire symbolize in this context? Fire is fast, it is bright, it represents light, images, technology, passion, and transformation. Therefore, in the next 3 years, if you want to start a business or invest, choosing industries related to the symbolic element of fire will be the easiest path to making money. So which industries and projects belong to fire? First and foremost are the industries related to the internet and technology. The primary characteristic of fire is speed. The internet today has entered the era of 5G speed. Artificial intelligence and big data are all about processing information at incredible speeds, especially AI. It is replacing a series of traditional industries, even jobs that were previously considered stable. For example, the journalism industry. Many major newspapers in the US have started mass layoffs because ChatGPT can write articles in a flash, faster and cheaper than hiring human writers. Industries like game design, content writing, and fashion design are being transformed by software like Midjourney. Work efficiency has increased threefold, and many companies have laid off 2/3 of their staff, only keeping senior creative directors to review the final product. Think about it. In the past, being a lawyer meant memorizing thousands of laws and case precedents. Now, with AI, you can simply enter a detailed description of a case, and AI will analyze it and instantly search its huge data repository to find the most similar cases and relevant laws. A task that used to take months of research can now be done in minutes. This means the current market no longer needs people who do repetitive manual or intellectual labor. It needs people who know how to control and leverage AI. Therefore, whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur, learning to use AI can immediately enhance your competitiveness, helping you to stand on the shoulders of giants. All industries related to light, images, cinema, and virtual technology will be extremely profitable. Among them, the most accessible and potential-filled industry is what's called self-media, which means creating your own content on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. What other industries are easy to make money in and have a low barrier to entry? Those are industries related to sports and physical fitness, which also carry the passionate, energetic symbolism of the fire element. During the pandemic, everyone was stuck at home and not active at all. Many of us gained weight. Now there is a massive pent-up demand for weight loss and physical training. If you are interested in this field, you can absolutely combine it with self-media to build a powerful brand and business. Similarly, industries related to beauty and art will also be easier to make money in. As people spend more time online, creating content and appearing on camera, they are more willing than ever to spend money on themselves. Therefore, industries like beauty, healthcare, cosmetics, and hairstyling will be very profitable. Finally, industries related to psychology and spirituality will also be easy to make money in. The fire element is inherently somewhat illusory in nature. You can see it, but you can't touch it. So professions that are somewhat intangible, like psychological counseling, life coaching, and relationship counseling, will have a huge market for development in the next 20 years. The spiritual and mental world of people will develop like never before. More and more people are having psychological and spiritual problems. They are living completely online, withdrawing into themselves and finding it difficult to find their other half or their purpose in life. Therefore, industries like fortune-telling, career coaching, and spiritual guidance will be in great need of genuine experts. So you might ask, what if my personality or my skills don't align with this fire element? Does that mean for the next 20 years I will have no more opportunities to make money? Am I doomed? Not at all. This is where the mindset of an entrepreneur comes in. You may not be able to attack directly, but that doesn't mean others can't. If you have a business partner, a spouse, or even a key employee who is naturally aligned with this fire energy, you can absolutely borrow their luck and align with their strengths. Think about the entertainment industry. Who do you think makes more money, the star or the management company behind them? Obviously, it's the management company. A star might be famous for a few years and make a lot of money, but if a few years later they are no longer famous, they may lose their income. What about the management company? They have a whole series of stars in their hands. Today, if you are famous, they will pour all their resources into you so you can help them make money. But if you are no longer famous tomorrow, they will simply train and promote the next person. Their strategy is called borrowing time, borrowing momentum, and borrowing power. You might think this stuff is superstitious. At first, I didn't believe it either. But then I thought even people like Jack Ma, Li Ka-shing, and Bill Gates believe in understanding the cycles and laws of the universe. So what right do I have not to believe? Anyway, believing doesn't cost anything. At least it gives me a belief, a direction. What if it really succeeds? So let's bring this all together. The path to wealth is not random. It can be planned by understanding the predictable long-term cycles that govern our world. The Western economic map, the Kondratiev wave, tells us we are at the beginning of a new spring season of recovery and growth. An ancient Eastern framework suggests that this new 20-year era, from 2024 to 2043, will be dominated by the symbolic energy of fire, representing speed, technology, passion, and transformation. This means that the industries poised for the most explosive growth are those connected to the internet and AI, sports and fitness, beauty and art, and psychology and spirituality. By aligning your investments, your business ventures, and even your career with these rising tides, you are not fighting against the current. You are flowing with it. Understanding these cycles allows you to be proactive, to position yourself for the coming opportunities, and to truly plan for luck, just as Rockefeller did. The great wealth transfer has begun, and the map is in your hands. Thank you for joining us here at Wealth Topmax. We hope this has given you a valuable new perspective on your financial journey. Don't forget to subscribe for notifications, and we will see you in the next video.